What's up, Meta Nerds? This video is all about the S-100 Stinger-class starfighter used during the time of the Old Republic. Manufactured by Corellian Engineering Corporation, this is a unique product from the famed freighter manufacturer, being one of the only starfighters that they would ever produce. This was reflected in its exorbitant price being 465,000 credits, when it was released around 3,997 BBY. This makes it more than twice the cost of the N1 starfighter, which is a pretty tough feat, and even more expensive than the priciest variant of the Delta 7, which was the highest priced fighter used during the Clone Wars. But to CEC's credit, 21 years later they were able to get the cost down to 150,000 credits, putting it in a comparable range to the X-Wing and ARC-170, but still more than twice the price of a TIE fighter. At 11.5 meters or 38 feet long, it was an Ewok shorter than the X-Wing, and just a bit longer than the N1. Being 9.7 meters or 32 feet wide, it was an Ewok thinner than the X-Wing, or about 2 huts across. And at 6.2 meters or 20 feet tall, it was 1.5 times the height of the ARC-170, and about 2/3 the height of the AT-ST. These turbine engines are enormous for its size, which helped to give it a top atmospheric speed of 1,150 km per hour, or 715 miles per hour, making it faster than the X-Wing and Liberator class, but still slower than a TIE fighter and Aurek-class tactical strike fighter. Its Class 2 hyperdrive made it slower than most starfighters, but tied with many freighters and the Imperial 1 class Star Destroyer. The Stinger did come equipped with shields, but they were a lower power deflector shield, not as powerful as ships like the ARC-170, but still better than nothing. Its armament was quite impressive, having 2 assault laser cannons, which were slightly more powerful and could fire faster than standard cannons without the worry of overheating. There were also 2 proton torpedo launchers, with a total of 8 torpedoes on board, which is more than what you have on the X-Wing and ARC-170. This would all be operated by a single pilot, who were reported as saying that this S-100 was among the most maneuverable ships in the galaxy. The only problem is that its hull wasn't very strong, and CEC didn't sell too many of them, since even though they were available to civilians, not many purchased them due to their almost non-existent storage room, and because it had a highly specialized role. The S-100 Stinger was picked up by some planetary defense forces, but the prohibitively high cost meant that CEC had to wait for 21 years before different militaries really started to pick these up. The only group that used them in great numbers since the release was the Old Republic Jedi Order, who placed many Stingers on the Jedi library world of Ossus. These were used to launch a raid on the Kath Citadel, from which Sith cultists were planning a crusade. It was in this conflict that one of the S-100 successors was debuted, the faster and better defended Saber XC-01, which along with the Aurek-class, would eventually completely replace the Stinger. If you could find one of these ancient ships, it would surely be a unique fighter in any collector's hangar. So that's it for its history, but you definitely want to hear these cool facts and behind the scenes stuff. The Stinger first appeared in the comic issue Tales of the Jedi Dark Lords of the Sith 6, but also appear in the Dark Lords of the Sith audio drama. And there are some inconsistencies concerning the stats on this thing, with the Power of the Jedi sourcebook saying that it was 3.5 meters long, which would make it half the size of a Vulture droid, about 1/4 the size of an ARC-170, and it also states that it has a Class 1 hyperdrive, though this is kinda reasonable, as that is standard for most starfighters. But that's it for the S-100 Stinger-class starfighter. If you want to connect with us, help support this channel, or get your own copies of the reference materials used to make this video, be sure to check out the links in the description. Special shout out to our supporters over on Patreon, but most important of all, remember, Corellians can build anything, and the Force will be with you, always.